Welcome back, everyone. So I was just watching my good friend Danny's video about the boxing tonight. Nigel Benn's son, Chris Eubank's son, Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr, of course. And enjoyed that video, Danny. Nice one. You've taken Chris Eubank Jr to win tonight, and I can understand why, because you're right, mate. A good big one usually beats a good little one. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my history with the Benn clan. As a lot of you will know, I spent 4 years in professional boxing, working with some of the biggest names in world boxing at the time, back in the 1980s. What a brilliant period of my life that was. And I only met Chris Eubank on a couple of occasions, but Nigel Benn I got to know very well back in the day. I was friends with his first manager, Brian Lynch, and I also knew Peter De Freitas, who went on to be Nigel's manager. Of course, there was Frank Maloney involved as well at the time, and the Mendy brothers. But I knew Nigel quite well, played in a charity football match with Nigel. Really had a lot of respect. Nigel remains my favourite British fighter of all times, the Dark Destroyer. Remember the first time I ever saw him fight, I rung my dad up and I went, wow, Dad, we got a world champion in the making here. This boy is dynamite. And so it proved. Not only was Nigel Benn my favourite fighter of all time, he was one hell of a nice guy, always very welcoming, always very friendly, great working with the public, and an all-round gentleman. And he's remained that way, hasn't he? As he's got older, he's become even more of a gentleman, very much a family man in many respects. Chris, I got a lot of time for Chris as well, a great fighter, very underrated, absolute iron chin, a proper world champion in many respects. And Nigel was, of course, involved in one of the greatest fights that I've ever seen in the UK. Danny covered it briefly earlier.
Fighting the referee off, then fighting Benn. Combination to the head by McClellan. Benn trying to stay out of there.
And yeah, so today I'm going to give you my view on the big fight tonight. And at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you who I think will win. Now, I think Chris Eubank Jr, he's certainly more experienced. He's fought better fighters. He's probably technically a better boxer. And he's also bigger. And when you put those three things together, as Danny says, that points to a Eubank win. Bigger, more experience, and probably technically a better boxer. However, when I look at Conor Benn, wow, boy oh boy, do I see his old man in him. Not only from a looks viewpoint, but also from the way he talks, the way he walks, the way he fights, the way he throws punches, the way he bobs and weaves and ducks and throws punches. He's very much his father's son. And Danny is right, a good big un usually beats a good little un. And whilst Eubank might be technically a better fighter, and whilst he's bigger, I'm not sure that his heart is as big as Chris Eubank. So I just get the feeling that the Benn name means more to Conor than the Eubank name means to Chris Eubank Jr. I might be wrong, that's just my feeling. I think the first round will be, we'll start off, I think the first 30 seconds, first minute of the round will be a little bit tentative as both fighters take a look at each other, and then I think Conor Benn will not be able to resist throwing the bombs as soon as he sees an opening or gets an opportunity. And that really, for me, is the key to the fight. Will Chris Eubank Jr. manage to avoid those big shots from Conor Benn early on? Because make no mistake, if Conor Benn catches Chris Eubank Jr. Full on the chin, I believe the fight would end there and then. Conor's not as big a punch, hasn't got the punching power that his dad had. Obviously he's lighter anyway, but he's not as an explosive puncher as Nigel, I don't think, but he's not far off it. So I see a cagey opening 30 seconds minute, then I see it exploding in round one as Conor Benn unleashes when he sees an opportunity. And it really all depends on Chris Eubank's heart and his ability to avoid those bombs. And then of course, can Conor Benn avoid the counter punches? Because I think that Conor will be vulnerable to counter punching this evening. I think that's how Eubank wins the fight. I have a feeling, and I will make a definitive prediction, but if Chris Eubank Jr. is to win the fight tonight, I think it will be on points, potentially leading to a rematch, and that wouldn't be too unsurprising, would it? But I've got a feeling, and my definitive prediction for the fight this evening is that Chris Eubank Jr. will be stopped by Conor Benn in or around round 5. Now that's a definitive prediction for you. It'll probably be miles out, but I just get a feeling that out of the two, Conor Benn wants it more. His daddy's going to be there in the corner, and he will not leave anything inside the ring, I'll tell you that now. If he goes out, he will go out the way real men go out, because he's a Benn, and that's what the Benn family do when they step in the ring. They give it their all, just like Chris Eubank Jr. used to give it his all. You know, massive respect to both guys. You know, they're both iconic British fighters, both underrated in my view on the world stage. I loved both fighters, but Nigel Benn in particular, you know, just there was something about Nigel Benn, something very special. And I don't think his son is unfortunately quite up to that level, but I do think he's, I think he'll have enough tonight to end Chris Eubank Jr.'s career. At 35, he's earned his money. Conor, I think, was he 28, Danny said. He's still got another 3-4 years left in him. So that's my prediction for tonight. No doubt we'll see who's right and who's wrong. But the main thing is both boys come out safe and well and get to go home safely to their families, of course. Right, that's it. Just another quick one for you whilst I'm out and about here in Benidorm. Hope you've been enjoying the videos lately. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.